मैं Honorable Professor Dr. C. Upendra Rao, Professor in the School of Sanskrit and Indic Studies in JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University. His topic is Buddhism and Environment. I would request Professor Rao to speak. Professor C. Upendra Rao from Jawaharlal Nehru University.
Thank you very much to Mahabodhi Society for inviting me. Thank you for you, and thanks for Bhikkhu Sivali Thero and my friend Professor Vimalendra Kumar. I was very much sitting like as if audience. I was not having any enthusiasm to speak today. But after hearing Bhikkhu Tejo Varo, I became all of a sudden enthusiastic. And I wanted to say thanks to him. Thanks to Bhikkhu Tejo Varo, Taiwan, for your wonderful deliberation, wonderful speech. Because he has touched one of the core issues of Buddhism, the diet ethics. Even though my topic is not that, because my topic is Buddhism and environment, I will come to that, my topic. But before that, after hearing his speech, I'm very, very happy because I was visiting professor in Cambodia. I was teaching in Buddhist university for 1 year, 1.5 years. I was teaching Pali, Buddhism, Sanskrit, these subjects. And I did not see any Buddhist monk there taking, following this, the advice of Tejo Varo, Bhikkhu Tejo Varo. And a very interesting point I will tell you. When I was there in Cambodia, I wanted to visit the Vietnam. I asked many monks and many people there, I wanted to visit Vietnam, but they said that no, Vietnam is more, people take even dogs also. People say like that because they are being neighboring country. But after that, after some months, I happened to go to Vietnam. In Vietnam, I found purely vegetarian Buddhist monks and nuns, but not in Cambodia. So, because my problem, whenever I go there for research and for teaching, my problem is the same way the Venerable Tejo Varo faced in Thailand, even many times. We always search for vegetarian food and we get always problems. And this is how we have to understand the Panatipata Samadhi. And I have opened the Atthakatha of this line because my research is on Digha Nikaya. I have seen the Sumangala Vilasini for the clarification of Panatipata Veramani, very clearly written that one should not kill the animals there. One should not kill. Even one should not accept killed by others also. Now coming to my point. And my topic is Buddhism and environment. Almost it is a little bit related to this topic because what is the environmental ethics in Buddhism? This is very, very important in this present situation. Because when Professor Vimalendra Kumar asked me to speak, to give a topic in Buddhism, I have immediately given this topic because seeing the present pandemic situation, because we have collapsed, we have forgotten our ancient system. We have forgotten because we have the science, which we are believing is a science. It has invented so many modern, like for example, take the example of refrigerator. And every instrument of the science, and it went on up to the vaccination. All the even fertilizers for the plants. In the ancient times, we never had any fertilizers like thing because we had all people, Egyptians, Romans, Babylonians, and early Germans, and all are recorded as using minerals and manure to enhance the productivity of their farms. They used to use manure. We say that in Hindi, in Sanskrit, Sendriya manure, khad, Sendriya khad bolte hain. So we used to use them, but unfortunately, all of a sudden we have received the fertilizers. The use of fertilizers has increased, and we are getting all these problems. This is one of the situation where we have spoiled the natural law, this environmental life of our ancient Indians. They used to use the wood ash as a field treatment. It became widespread. Wood ash as a field treatment, they used to use. So if you see why I'm speaking all these things, if you see the ancient texts like Sutta Nipata and Digha Nikaya, Madhyama Nikaya, you will get a number of references. How direct references we have in Pali literature, direct references, because Pali is one of the richest literature in India. It has cultural treasure. It is a treasure house for history and cultural treasure in the sense, all these things, for example, directly how these crops were grown. You see the Dhaniya Sutta, for example. You see Dhaniya Sutta, how he was singing about the rain and how he was very happy to see the rains and how he used to cultivate everything it described there. And it is not possible for me to explain because each and every verse I had to explain. Then you will understand. It's very, very interesting. One of the richest literature. And that is why Buddha has accepted. Buddha has accepted Buddha himself has accepted the importance of forest and peaceful life. He liked the solitude, loneliness. See, nowadays we are seeing that isolation. Buddha always liked the isolation because you can see in Khaggavisana Sutta, Ekochare Khaggavisana Kappo, Kadanuham Pabbata Kandharasu. So you can find in Khaggavisana Sutta that Bhikshu dreams that when I wander alone like a rhinoceros in the forest, alone, all alone, like rhinoceros, गेंडे के समान मैं अकेला विचरण करना चाहता हूं फॉरेस्ट में. So this is a isolation, solitude, because solitude, the loneliness, isolation or solitude is very important for the enlightenment. As the most, this is the most favorable condition for the highest attainment in life, isolation. Therefore, Bhagavan Buddha has chosen the Uruvela forest and Niranjana river as the most suitable places for his meditation. You see, that is why isolation he wanted and solitude he wanted. Green forest to provide us with beneficial things for survival. The Theri Gadha and Thera Gadha of Khuddaka Nikaya of Pali literature are unique in this aspect. You can find many Gadhas in them. The Angulimala Thera, you know, all of you know the story of Angulimala. How he changed, transformed to be a monk with the grace of Buddha. We find Angulimala says, I remained under the trees of forest and caves of mountains. So Angulimala ultimately he says that I want to remain in the forest and inside the caves of the mountains. In the same text, we will find that Aniruddha Thera says that it may be a village or forest down or up, but the place where Arahants wander is a beautiful one. So what Aniruddha says that जो भी स्थान हो, वो village हो, forest हो, कोई भी जगह हो, जहाँ अरहंत घूमते हैं ना, वो that is a really wonderful place, he says. Further, he points out an important fact. An ordinary man cannot relish the beautiful forest. Ordinary man cannot understand the greatness of forest because he wants to enjoy in the towns. He wants to enjoy because he's an ignorant person. Because he is constantly searching for sensual pleasures. In contrast, a scholar of dispassion can find a great deal of peace and happiness in the forest. You see, it is said in Pali literature, Gameva Yadivaranye, Ninneva Yadiva Thale, Yatha Arahanto Viharant. Today's man has learned, today's man is very busy in science. He has learned to construct the beautiful buildings with all comforts in them. But being entangled in the net of samsara, he cannot realize how such technological developments are constantly polluting the environment. Factories and the exhaust gases from the vehicle. You see, nowadays we do not have we have the lockdown. That is why we do not have much vehicles in Delhi. That's why we are not getting sound pollution and also vehicular pollution. Otherwise, we have a lot of pollution. As a result, we cannot receive pure and clean air. Even oceans are polluted with marine food and oils and industrial waste. In those days, in Buddha's days, as evident in the texts of Pali literature, man used to live happily in forests and villages. You will see in entire Pali literature, I'm not exaggerating the thing, this is a fact I'm telling you, the Buddhist Sangha never stayed in a town or a village. They always went to the forest nearby the village or nearby town. They lived there. They selected the beautiful places. You can see all coast to Odisha onwards. If you go on for coast-wise, aap chalte jayenge. If you enter into the Andhra Pradesh, they selected such a beautiful places for their meditation, which is very much environmental friendly. Sea and mountains and flowers, gardens. So this is how they have selected the places. Today, I wonder what kind of scientific progress or social development man has achieved. The entire atmosphere is going to be damaged by this scientific progress. But in the olden days, green forests and species living there could experience immense peace and bliss. Sitting under the tree, Buddhist monks peacefully meditated with inner prajna. And like a mountain in the forest, they never moved to the various disturbances of the world. You see, Rukha Moolam va Nisaya, Mundo Sanghati Paruto, Panyaya Uttamo Thero, Upatisso Vachayati. Once again, I'm reading. You see, listen, if you know little Pali, you can understand. Rukha Moolam va Nisaya, having sit down under the tree, Mundo Sanghati Paruto. Mundo Sanghati means this. Mundo means mendicant. You see, you will find that linguistic similarity also. Mundo mendicant. The bhikshu ke liye hai ye. Sanghati paruto means just he is having only sanghati. And panyaya uttamo tero is a great thera with prajna. Meditated with inner prajna. Upatisso vajhayati. He is being peacefully meditated with inner prajna. This you will find in the Khuddaka Nikaya of Theragatha. Theragatha, I told you, Theragatha, it is from Khuddaka Nikaya. So I shall now briefly few points. Ancient Buddhism in India has reached the status of ecological religion. The relationship between Buddhist ideas and the natural world can be scrutinized within three contexts. Number one, Buddhists have treated nature as a teacher. Buddhists always treated nature as a teacher. Number two, in Buddhism, nature was respected as a spiritual force. Number three, and as per the teachings of Buddha, nature became the way of life for Buddhist monks. But one can never find the environmental movement in any text of Buddhist literature. Environmental literature you can neither find in Pali literature, also in Sanskrit literature. There is no environmental movement, simply because it was not needed in those times. For example, like human rights. You cannot find human rights in Pali literature. You can find human dignity in Pali literature. Because we have the problem today, all these problems. In ancient times, there was no ecological problem, environmental problem, human rights problem. So people had a strong connection with nature in those days. Just to see the life of Buddha, all significant events occur in countryside and are associated with the trees of forests. His birth at Lumbini, as his mother took hold
किसकी
the
आईडी है मुझे
solid,
पता है
the birth of Buddha has occurred in Lumbini forest. The
यहाँ
mother
से
took the hold of branch of Shala tree. His early experience of meditative absorption beneath the rose apple tree, his enlightenment, उनका जो निर्वाण प्राप्ति हुआ beneath the Bodhi tree, बोधि वृक्ष के नीचे, and his parinirvana, उसके जो अंतिम में परिनिर्वाण जहां हुआ है कुशीनार में, it was between the two Shala trees, दो शाला वृक्षों के बीच में परिनिर्वाण हुआ. So today's man turned to be an ignorant person.
Excuse me, Namrata Chadda ji and Ram Charan ji, please close your mic.
Yeah, today's man turned to be ignorant of the mutual interdependence. You see, this is very important factor. Philosophy, you say, or ethics also you can say, concept also you can say. This is very much important in interdependence. This is a paticca samuppada in Buddhism. But today's man became ignorant about the mutual interdependence of all processes of the world. By harming nature, man is harming himself. Like a famous line in Sanskrit, dharma eva hato hanti, dharmo rakshati rakshita. So if you kill dharma, dharma will also kill. If you harm the dharma, if you destroy the dharma, then dharma destroys back to you. So in the same way, we can say that vriksha eva hato hanti, vriksho rakshati rakshita, we can say. If you protect the trees, trees also will protect you. So this is what we have to understand. Jataka Pali contains the information about the peaceful rural life in ancient India. You can find many stories of Jataka Pali. All stories are connected to the peaceful rural life I wrote in the same in Mahabodhi's journal, I wrote the village life as depicted in Pali literature. So you can find all these treasures in Pali literature. People nurtured various animals, especially cows, they have nurtured in those days. The headman could recognize each cow based on the mark on it. You see, this we will find in Pali literature. हर गाय को वो पहचान सकते थे. Villagers used bronze, wood, and fruit cells. Unlike plastic, they never used plastic. We are using plastic. We are using present generation. They used loska and we have in Jatakas, loska and takka Jatakas. These two Jatakas state that villagers established schools and buildings, residential quarters for teachers in a peaceful area with peaceful material, not plastic and other fiber, all these things. So a monk should satisfy by residing beneath the tree. He should satisfy. Monks loved the mountains. They used to reach beautiful mountains for quiet meditation in solitude. They relished at the sight of a large cluster of giant forests, giant trees, herds of animals, lovely creepers, birds, flowers, and peacocks. All these were the enhancing. All these things are enhancing peace and beauty of forests situated in the mountains. So in this way, we get so much, I'm concluding, so much literature. And one, let me read this beautiful gatha. Kadanuham pabbata kandharasu, ekakino, addutiyo vihassam, anichato sappabhavam vipassam, tamme idam tamnu kada bhavisyati. So in Theragatha, Talaputa Theragatha, he says that when I will go to forest and when I will be alone and all alone, I will get the enjoyment of meditation. So these things you will find in the Pali literature. In brief, I wanted to say, these are all references I am giving. But in brief, I wanted to say we had to look back our literature, Buddhist literature, Pali literature, and you will understand how our ancient people, the great Buddha and his disciple Upali, Ananda, Sariputta, Maudgalyayana, Mahakashyapa, how they were leading the peaceful life with the friendly environmental life. We should understand, and we should again bring back those things. We should not follow blindly the scientific development advancement, and we should not disrupt our life. Otherwise, we will get such pandemics and all these problems. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Mhm.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, sir. For so nice teaching. It was great. It was like listening to the great teacher, a disciple of the Buddha. Thank you, sir.